name is Marge Dalton, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters for Arapahoe and Douglas County, and will be moderating this forum today. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the South Suburban Parks and Recreation District for agreeing to host today's forum. Do we have Jennifer Ryan in the room to say a few words? I'll take that as a no. The sponsors of today's forum are the League of Women Voters of Arapahoe and Douglas counties and the American Association of University Women. The League of Women Voters is an organization fully committed to justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in principle and in practice. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are central to the organization's current and future success in engaging all individuals, households, communities, and policymakers in creating a more perfect democracy. The League's mission is empowering voters, defending democracy. We envision a democracy where every person has the desired right, knowledge, and confidence to participate. The League is a nonpartisan organization that promotes citizen participation in government and does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. The American Association of University Women promotes equitable political participation because democracy works when everyone can fully participate. AAUW is a nonpartisan and has a strong record of advocacy in action, but does not support or oppose candidates or political parties. The views expressed today are not those of the League of Women Voters of Arapahoe and Douglas counties or the American Association of University Women. They're the views of your candidates. Just a reminder that Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. Ballots will be mailed between October 10th and October 17th to active registered voters. You can register to vote and check your voter registration at govotecolorado.gov. We also have information in the back at the League table on voter service and polling centers and this year's ballot issues if you're interested. Today's forum is being recorded. This is a forum for candidates running for the City Council of Centennial. All candidates whose names will appear on the official ballot for Centennial City Council were invited to participate, and all candidates are present at this forum. This year, there are 8 candidates running for 4 positions on the City Council, and here with us today from each district. In District 1, we have Robyn Carnes and Sandhu. In District 2, we have Carrie Penaloza and Ashish Vaidya. In District 3, we have Dwiggins and McKernan. District 4, we have Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam, or Dr. G, and Durrell Middleton. Thank you to the candidates for participating in today's forum. The format of today's forum includes questions prepared by the League and written questions from today's audience. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes for an opening statement, 1.5 minutes to answer each question, and 1 minute for a closing statement. Our timekeepers are AAUW Colorado Co-President Jill Smith and AAUW member Mary Schreiner. There's guidelines for you as the audience. Please do not react positively or negatively to any of the candidates' statements or answers, and please hold all applause until the end of the forum. Please do not record audio or video of tonight's forum, and remember to silence your cell phones. Some of today's questions have been prepared by the League. We're also asking for questions from the audience. Please write your question on a note card, and a volunteer will come by and pick it up. All questions asked today, and those that we could not answer, will be emailed to each candidate. If you would like a personal response for one or all the candidates, please indicate your personal contact information on your note card. Okay, we're going to get started with the forum. We'll start with opening statements, and each candidate will have 1.5 minutes. Starting with District 1, Robyn Carnes, your opening statement, please.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you to the League's board and also the members for hosting. I have always appreciated your commitment to nonpartisanship and really encouraging women to run for and engage in political office. I'm Robyn Carnes. I am a resident of Centennial for over 20 years. I'm a former VP of a national organization that fights sex trafficking. I'm a realtor, so I understand the housing crisis we're in. I'm also a substitute teacher, and I train subs, preparing them for the classroom. As a mom, as a wife, as a working woman, I know that political engagement and running for office it isn't easy. But we've got to find a way to really represent this crucial demographic of women. My husband, he's here today, in fact. He works in law enforcement, and he's been an incredible partner, thank you, Jay, to me so that I can serve in Centennial City Council and still support my 2 sons and our family. As your current councilwoman, I'm really concerned about the partisan politics plaguing our state and deteriorating our beloved Colorado. This can't come to Centennial. We face complex issues that require good governance, robust, diverse, and balanced discussions, which Centennial thrives on. Centennial wants well-vetted, collaborative policies and experienced council that plays well together. That's me, and that is what I'm committed to.
Thank you, Robyn. Next, Cindy Sandhu, your opening statement.
Hi, I'm Cindy Sandhu. Is this working? No.
A little louder.
We have to push it.
You holding it now? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm Cindy Sandhu and I'm running for Centennial City Council District 1. I was born and raised in this area, going through Littleton Public Schools, Peabody, Newton, Arapahoe High School before graduating from the University of Colorado Boulder, and then serving 2.5 years in the Peace Corps as an environmental volunteer. I have 3 kids, 7, 9, and 11, and I settled my family here in Centennial over by Peabody so that my kids could experience the same type of childhood that I did, the idyllic neighborhood, the city of neighborhoods that we all thrive in. I am trying really hard to raise my kids understanding that civic engagement is so important. And there's so many of us that don't pay attention to national politics, don't pay attention to local politics, and don't realize the effect it all has on our lives. And I've tried really hard to show them what civic engagement is and how to engage with our neighbors and how to build community. So I've been really working with them to build community, and I really try in my personal life and here today to engage community and build that community so that we can all thrive together. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Next, from District 2, Carrie Penaloza.
Thank you. Excuse me. My name is Carrie Penaloza. I'm running for District 2 Council because I love the city and I want to see it continue to thrive. My husband Rich and I raised our daughters Lily and Annie here and benefited from all the community has to offer. I want that for other people and families also, a safe, affordable, and walkable place. I've been a city prosecutor for 20 years, so safety is my top priority. But I also want to keep Centennial affordable, and I'll encourage development in Midtown for first-time home buyers as well as for empty nesters. I'll also advocate for increased walkability through new sidewalks and additional trail connection to make it safer and easier for our citizens to get outside and get around. I served on council from 2016 to 2020. I did not run for re-election at that time because I had to take care of my elderly parents. My mom actually came and lived with us for 2 years, but now I'm ready and excited to serve again. With my experience and knowledge, I'll be ready to hit the ground running. I'd be honored to earn your vote, and I'm Carrie Penaloza, and you can find out more about me at carrieforcentennial.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Also for District 2, Ashish Vaidya.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters No.
Is it better? I want to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this forum. Thank Ms. Dalton for moderating. And I also want to thank my fellow candidates for being here as well. My name is Ashish Vaidya, and I'm also running for Centennial City Council in District 2. My parents came to this country with $8 to their name, and they worked really hard to make sure that my brother and I could achieve the American dream. I was fortunate enough to be able to earn a PhD in political science, and I currently teach college classes to high school students, including state and local government, through a concurrent enrollment program in Colorado Springs. I also serve on the Policy and Advocacy Committee for the Colorado People's Alliance, where we lobby the state legislature on behalf of working families. We hear a lot about the state of democracy these days, but what does democracy actually mean? It means that people have the power. And where people have the most power is at the local level. It's in municipal politics that we can have the most impact as residents, as citizens, and as voters. Centennial is a wonderful community of neighborhoods and families with great open spaces and excellent schools and public services. People of Centennial are caring, conscientious, warm, and friendly. But we are not without our problems. As an educator and a scholar, I know that the generation that is now coming of age is looking at a shifting economy and wondering if they have a place in it. I'm running in this election because I want to be a partner in lifting up all our residents and help them to realize their potential and achieve their goals, whether it's the ability to buy a home and build equity, start a small business to showcase their creativity, care for their families, or retire with dignity and comfort. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, Ashish. Next, we'll hear from the District 3 candidates, starting with Ryan Dwiggins.
Thank you for the League of Women Voters having us today. A little bit about me. My name is Ryan Dwiggins. I live in District 3 neighborhood of Willow Creek with my wife and young son. I absolutely love Centennial and our neighborhood and have an interest in protecting and advancing the investment our city leaders and residents have worked for in the city's next decade and beyond. And many of you in this room have been involved in that work. I've been on the Centennial Planning and Zoning Commission for 4 years. I've been chair the last 2. I'm up to speed on where Centennial can head in the future, and I'm passionate about the subject. Beyond my Centennial volunteer experience, I'm a member of Economic Development Council of Colorado, the Metro Denver EDC, and for my day job, I'm the Director of Economic Development for JLL. So with that, economic vitality, one of the city's cornerstones, is important to me. With my business experience with large and small companies, I will view decisions through the lens of any direct or indirect impacts to our business community. I'm well equipped for my volunteer and professional experience to bring that sense of collaboration and solution-based attitude, find agreement and compromise among parties of differing views on day one. And with half of council term limited, I can hit the ground running, and I have the endorsement from our term limited District 3 council member, Mike Sutherland, to be his replacement, Jim Noon, and many of our city council members. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, also for District 3, Patty McKernan.
This isn't working. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Patty McKernan. It says Patricia here. That is the given name on my driver's license, but I go by Patty. Patty4Centennial.com is my website. I moved to Centennial by choice because I love Centennial. I love what we've done here. I love I love the home rule charter. I believe in local rule, and I believe that a government that is closest to the people is a government that is going to represent the people. And I have a perhaps different viewpoint. I don't say democracy. I say it's a republic because we're a constitutional republic. And local government, home rule charter, is representing the people by your representatives. I would like to be that representative for District 3. I got into the race while I was listening to a special interest come to the city council and ask for something that they're doing with Littleton and Sheridan and Englewood as well. And they're looking at having single hauler trash services come into our neighborhoods. It sounds great because it means less trash trucks on the road, but when are they going to start regulating the Amazon, the UPS, the post office, the FedEx trucks? I believe that we are well run, we have a great budgeting process, we have fiscal responsibility, and I want to maintain that and keep special interests from increasing the prices here. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Next, running for District 4. We'll first hear from Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam.
It works. Did you hear me?
No.
No?
Yeah. Eat the mic.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, my name is Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam. I run for Centennial City Council District 4. This is probably your first time meeting me, but I'm glad to see all of your faces. I'm going to look directly into your faces because that's what pumps me up. So I moved here in 1999. I arrived on a Thursday. I bought my house the next day on a Friday. So we're going to oftentimes speak of inventory of homes and all of that. And so I've been doing all of my walking around the neighborhoods, and I realize there's quite a bit of inventory because there is so much movement of peoples. And so the amount of inventory is probably higher than what we often hear about. Now again, about my family, I moved here with my wife of 37 years and 4 children, 2 of whom we homeschooled. When I brought my older children here, they went to the public schools and they said, Mom, Dad, they're way behind us, but they didn't want to be homeschooled. So we have to understand when we talk about things like safety, safety is this: know where your child is. Safety is know where your neighborhood is. I've been mentioning things to the neighbors as I walk around. Do you remember the thing called Neighborhood Watch, where you watched your neighbors? That's what we want to bring it down to. So we got to get to the issue of knowing what safety really means, what it really means to own our children and not let someone else own our children. So that's the beginning. So again, you can reach me, you can see me at Jeffrey Gilliam for Centennial.
Thank you, Dr. G. Also for District 4, we'll hear from Durrell Middleton.
I know my mic doesn't work, so, because I got no way to do it. How's everybody? I love this room, by the way. The energy is amazing. We tried to get everyone quiet for about 5 minutes so we could start this forum. And everyone's been thanked and welcomed. So a little bit about me. My name is Durrell Middleton. I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I love telling this story because my mom, who was a police officer, she felt more like a drill sergeant because she really was just drilling the importance of discipline and education. I joined the Army when I was 17. If you can imagine your 17-year-old going to the Army right now, that would be pretty insane. Came back and finished my senior year in high school, and trust me, I'll be brief. Finished my senior year in high school, went to West Point for college. From there, I met my beautiful wife in Champaign, Illinois. She's in the room as well, so we moved out here as soon as 1994, where we've raised our kids. We have a son and a daughter, and they're both thriving in their lives. Moved into Centennial when it was South Aurora in 1998, and been in business ever since then. I've ran 3 successful businesses, including an international basketball team, where we went to China 3 different times. Super involved in our community, including being a deacon at my church. But I got to tell you, this is a great city. I'm not ready to fix a broken city. Centennial is the #1 city in Colorado. And thanks to our first responders, we're one of the safest cities in Colorado and number 15 in the nation. You can find more at www.middleton4d4.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Durrell. Now we'll start the question and answer portion of our forum. And we'll start with District 2, Ashish Vaidya. The question is, what are your top 2 priorities for Centennial, and how would you accomplish them?
Well, I think my top 2 priorities, I would say, are housing and sustainability. So on housing, I think that we currently have a missing middle in terms of our housing supply. We are building a lot of apartments. We're not really doing much in the way of building affordable housing for people that want to downsize and for people that are entering the housing market. So I meet a lot of renters nowadays that are making 6 figures. That should be the case in Colorado and in Centennial. And a lot of young people are wondering if they're ever going to be able to afford a home. So that's one of my major priorities. I think we need to infill some of our vacant lots. We need to have more affordable owner-occupied units in the burgeoning of the new Midtown District in Centennial. And we need to put more pressure put more downward pressure on the overall housing costs. In terms of sustainability, I think that we need to pass a laws licensing ordinance. I would like to be able to see more of our communities have access to recycling, more of our communities have access to composting as well. As was stated earlier, 75% of the material that's been in our landfills is either compostable or recyclable. I think we can do better than this. So, but of course, I should also mention public safety, because the core responsibility of any government is public safety. And I know we're going to hear a lot about public safety today, and I don't think there's anybody on the stage right now who wants to imperil our public safety or compromise safety in any way. So, and I think we need to start there.
Thank you, Ashish. You can finish your thoughts.
Well, yeah, I just want to say that I think we need to keep our contract with the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office and make sure that that our streets are safe and that any violent incidents are able to be so we're not going to have any violent incidents.
Okay. Carrie Penaloza, what are your top 2 priorities?
Thank you. The 3 areas that I focus on are safety, affordability, and walkability, and I've talked a lot about those things. As a municipal prosecutor, safety is just fundamental to having a vibrant community, which we do have in Centennial, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm thankful to be endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police. And affordability is an issue that we all know is very important. I think the city's part in that can be to keep fees low, to encourage development by keeping our doors open to builders and developers and new ideas. And walkability, I'm very passionate about sidewalks. I know that's 3. But something I've been thinking about this morning are our seniors. I was thinking about Paula, who is here, who runs the Generations Y, and my mom, who I mentioned came to live with us, and having the resources of Meals on Wheels while I was away at work coming to help her out. And we have the Senior Commission in Centennial, and I believe there was a loneliness and isolation committee, and those are things that I think we can delve into, and I'd like to do that when I serve next.
Thank you, Carrie. Next, we'll move on to District 3 and start with Patty McKernan. Your 2 priorities?
So my first priority is to keep Centennial the great city that it is, because I think we're doing a good job, and I don't want to see any solutions chasing problems, because if you don't have a problem, don't present a solution to us, because that's not the proper role of government. So that would be the number 1 priority, is just to assess everything in the manner of, is this going to solve a problem? Is the everyday citizen going to flourish if we pass a particular law or rule in the city? And then the second priority is to really look at the economy of the city. We have that section called Midtown Centennial. I want to know why it's not thriving. And I want to figure out if that's the problem, find the answer to that problem, and then let's determine what the solution should be to fix that problem. But again, it's not just finding things to do. It is actually looking at the problems and solving the problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Ryan Dwiggins, your 2 priorities?
Thank you. I'm going to go back to the basics of why Centennial was formed in the first place, so that we had stable, predictable, and long-range tax base to serve our residents. So, since it's a college football Saturday, I'm going to use a football analogy. And what is the best defense? It's a good offense, right? And we on planning and zoning and council has agreed with us, have gotten creative in how we protect that tax base. And in the recent years, we've created a new zone district called the Employment Center Mixed Use Zone District. And there are parcels throughout the city that private development has approached the city to rezone, to create new spaces that at all levels of businesses and can thrive, as well as create new housing options. So that's my number one priority, is to continue to create and protect our tax base so we have future funding. Number two is, usually on council or any body, you need somebody to be the glue. And I think that I can be that glue. With whoever, we have half of council term limited, and I believe that I can work with people of various viewpoints, and in that we can create better decision-making and policies for the residents of Centennial. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Now from District 4, Durrell Middleton, what are your top 2 priorities?
In our campaign, we've been talking about 4. More homes, thriving businesses, safe zones, and no unknowns. But really, it starts with me. My top priority, if elected, would be to make sure that I'm working well with our county councilman and our mayor, our future mayor. That would be my top priority, because you can't get any of these things done if we're not working well together. Centennial started 25 years ago with a population of 100,000. And right now we have 106,000. So you'll hear a lot of us talking about the need for more housing so that we can pay for our services. That's the number one priority for me. But keeping our neighborhoods the same. We're a city of neighborhoods, so we don't want to infringe on the current character of our neighborhoods. So housing would be number one, and also making sure that our citizens understand the processes that it takes to push legislation. So no unknowns and transparency with our neighbors and keeping them informed about what's going on. But none of that happens without me being a valued member of the council and making sure I get along with everyone that's on the team. That would be my number one goal.
Thank you, Durrell. Next, we'll hear from Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam.
Thank you. When I moved into Centennial, I didn't know Centennial from any other city. Can you hear me now? When I went into my dental practice, I practiced for Comfort Dental. I still manage about 3 of them. Why do I manage them? Because they call me in to help them manage the business financially. When I moved here, the quote out of our CEO was, "Do it lean, but do it mean." And what that meant was, you can provide all of the services that the big guys do cheaper, but you can provide it in a way that they know that they're getting an excellent service. So on the council, that's what we have to do. We have to do it in a way that still is financially stable. We have to think about it. We have to research it. We just can't do it. Oftentimes, we just do things and we don't look at the outcomes ahead of time. We want an outcome-based people who are managing our finances. The second thing, again, is safety. And what do we mean by safety? It incurs quite a few things, but then it still gets back to how do we manage that financially? How do we paint the roads correct? How do we get the right signs up so that the children don't have to run across the street? And so, again, we're going back to, for me, is financial stability, and we work that in and around many different areas.
Thank you, Dr. G. On to our second question, and we'll start with the district.
Wait a minute, we haven't answered yet.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. We need to go back to the top of the page. Okay, Cindy Sandhu, what is your top 2 priorities?
Thank you for letting me answer the question. My top 2 priorities would be safety as well as affordability. I think many families are struggling right now. The average price of a house in Centennial is around $700,000. How can new families move into this community when they have a $700,000 house as their first purchase? That's going to be really difficult and something we need to focus on, including for our college graduates. I don't know any college graduates who are moving out of their parents' homes. Instead of graduating from college, they're moving into their parents' homes. We need a pathway for people to move into Centennial. That's really important for us to continue this tax base. My second priority would be safety. And I think safety includes many things, including driving safety, transportation, and safety of people on sidewalks. And I think that safety is, we need a partnership with Littleton Public Schools. We don't currently have a partnership with Littleton Public Schools, and my sixth grader goes to Newton. And if anybody drives down Arapahoe Road when Newton is going into school or the kids are getting out of school, they can see how dangerous that is for those kids crossing those streets. And I don't want to wait for a tragic accident to happen before we create a working partnership within the schools, so that what happens in our schools affects those in our community and vice versa. We need to have that working partnership so that we can work together.
Thank you, Sylvie. Last one for the two priority question, Robyn Carnes.
My top two are going to be public safety, because when people don't feel safe, nothing else matters. So we have to make sure that we maintain great public safety and also affordability. Fear alone can dampen every area of life, right? Keeping citizens from truly thriving. When it comes to affordability, let's talk about solutions. You asked how we're going to tackle that. I would not disagree with what other folks have said, but the how is this. When it comes to Centennial, because we are the #1 city to live in, people don't want to leave. They want to stay, yet there's very little options for downsizing. So when it comes to housing, let's think about what if we were to create more 55+ communities, right? Take Streets of Southland, for instance, that behemoth. Something has to be done. Let's create senior living there so that the people in Centennial who are more seasoned can downsize, creating vacancies in new homes for other families and new people to move into. Patio homes, townhomes. And then how else will we do that? Let's make sure it's a priority in our budget, right? We've always prioritized public safety in our budgets, but at the same time, we've really got to dig into programs that are working and not. So it's really coming down to needs and wants, and we've got to be very realistic in what the budget holds.
Thank you, Robyn. Now, we'll move on to our second question, starting with District 3 and Ryan Dwiggins. On June 10th, 2008, the citizens of Centennial voted to approve a home rule charter. How would you stand up to protect Centennial's right to govern itself?
Yeah, I mean, I respect the citizens, I respect the decision that was made in 2008 and defend it. There's really no daylight between me and the city charter on this one. How would I defend it? I mean, I guess I would be an advocate for the various elected officials, either at the state, county level, of how important home rule is to Centennial's governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, Patty McKernan.
Well, I think, as I said, one of my top priorities is to keep Centennial great, and home rule is one of the reasons why it's a great city. When I talk about constitutional republic versus democracy, democracy are bigger numbers of people telling us what to do. There are bigger numbers outside of Centennial that would like to tell us what to do. For example, having a new building with no parking requirements at those new buildings for apartments, for example. Well, now you have cars on the street and no parking lots for those cars on the street, and how are we going to solve things like that? So it's very important that we stay strong and push back. We're not part of that six-city lawsuit right now against the governor, but we do have to stay together and stay strong, and I agree with Ryan on that, and that's my answer.
Thank you, Patty. Moving on to District 4 candidates. Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam, how do you feel about home rule?
Since I moved here, I remember mentioning a statement the other day by Glenn Beck, and it was a statement about incrementalism. Little bit by little bit, they erode us away. They erode the truth away. So we've been here 25 years. And so what we must do is reverse the incrementalism and deal with it ourselves. A little bit by little bit, understand that we must extend ourselves to keep the power of that charter. I think that we have fallen asleep in many cases. When I got here, and since I've been here, I didn't know much about this city. Now I do. And so part of the way to support the charter is to talk to our constituents about what's really going on, because I don't think that they know. I don't think that we know. And so we must support the charter by saying what's in it. Not what's in it for the individual, but what's in it for the city. Because what's in it for the city will grow our community and keep it strong.
Thank you, Dr. G. Next, Durrell Middleton.
Home rule charter is important to me because it's important to my neighbors. But to Dr. G's point, a lot of my neighbors don't exactly know what home rule is. Keeping our neighbors informed about the benefits and the direct pipeline from our neighbors to the governance here in Centennial is important to me. I have friends at the state level too that I've endorsed our campaign, including James Coleman. Some of the issues at the state level conflict with what we need done here in Centennial and can slow down the process. We already talked about parking. My goal would be to bridge the gap between what we need and our citizens need here in Centennial with what the state is trying to push down. It's very important to keep those channels of communication open. Yet, my first and only responsibility would be to the citizens here in Centennial, Colorado. Thank you.
Thank you, Durrell. Moving on to District 1, Robyn Carnes.
So the beautiful thing about Centennial is how we came to be. Over 25 years ago, or a little almost 25 years ago, we had people from both sides of the aisle come together and say, we will not be taken over by Greenwood Village. We decided to fight hard, and because of that came our beautiful Centennial, our wonderful Centennial, and the Home Rule Charter. It is the foundation of our existence, and it is deeply threatened right now. As far as what we've done, we have to stand up to those that are trying to take it away. And yes, we are not part of the lawsuit, but there was someone who put a strong quote in the newspaper after it came to be, and that was me. We have to take a stand. We need relationships at the state level, which I absolutely have based on my endeavor last fall, but we absolutely have to speak truth and not let partisan politics come and invade us, taking a strong stand for what is best for Centennial. What matters to our citizens, what matters to our neighbor, is that we are not a one-size-fits-all, and Centennial is not for sale.
Thank you, Robyn. Cindy Sandhu.
Yes, I agree with everybody here that our home rule charter is what made us, and I don't want to take it away from anyone, just like everyone here. I think our home rule charter is here to stay, and I have no desire to fight it. I have working relationships with people at the Capitol, my state senator, my state representative, that I am happy to work with them to tell them what this means to us and to work with problems when they try and infringe on our home rule. How is this affecting the citizens in Centennial, and making sure that we can be open and transparent with everyone on how it's affecting us, and working together, remembering that everybody's human and not everybody realizes what has happened or how it affects us. And so working with the people at the state capitol to remind them we are human too, this is how it affects us, this is what we would like, and can you work with us?
Thank you, Cindy. Next, from District 2, Carrie Penaloza.
Thank you. Well, it seems like there's a chorus here in support of the charter, which is our Constitution, and it's fundamental to the formation and continued existence of Centennial. I will push back a little bit, though, on the idea that, we all want the same thing, because we do have a lawsuit that was necessary to be filed because we have so much opposition to us figuring out what we want for the future of Centennial. And I do think everyone at this table wants us to be able to determine our own future, but we do have, Centennial has just filed an amicus brief, so we're not part of the lawsuit, but it's gone as far as 6 cities across Colorado having to file a lawsuit because the state is saying you don't get to decide your zoning. You don't get to decide these things. And it takes away the way that we're set up and most home rule cities are set up, where we have to have hearings to hear from citizens. And so you can tell I'm very passionate about us maintaining that part of our character and us deciding what our future is.
Thank you, Carrie. And lastly, Ashish.
Yes, so I've talked about this in my classes. This is a matter of political advocacy. I think we're all in agreement here that the home rule charter is important, that we need to maintain home rule here at Centennial. And again, I think that it's like the government that's closest to the people is that which is best to govern. So I think government runs best when it actually works with people, when people actually have access to the government. And we have more access to our residents than the state does. I have relationships with members of the state legislature, Senator Clifford, Senator Colker. I plan to leverage these relationships and make sure that I'm communicating to these members of the legislature our concerns of Centennial when these sorts of issues come up. I think what a lot of people here are talking about is, in particular, the transit-oriented communities bill. I think transit-oriented communities are important. I think that there's a way to do this. There's a way to develop higher density housing around transit stops so that we're not affecting the character of our neighborhoods as we grow. But we need to do this the right way. We need to do it in a way that is beneficial for all the residents of Centennial and make sure we're doing that, quite frankly, with Midtown Center. This is a plan to have a community around, it's located around transit, where we have small businesses and entrepreneurs intermingled with owner-occupied, higher density housing like condos. So I think we're all in agreement here on the whole issue.
Thank you, Ashish. Now moving on to question 3. Some of you have already touched on this, but it seems to be a burning issue with our audience. Governor Polis has highlighted Colorado's 106,000 unit housing shortage and asked cities to alleviate the housing crisis that makes it harder for people to buy or rent a home and it increases homelessness. What specifically do you propose as new solutions for affordable housing rather than just a campaign slogan? And we'll start with the District 4 candidates, Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam.
Okay. Whenever I think of this issue of density and housing shortage, it reminds me again of when I moved here. There supposedly weren't many homes. And when I went into the realtor, okay, here's one. It wasn't what I necessarily desired, but it's what I could afford. And oftentimes when we speak of desirability and affordability, I think uppermost in people's minds is, what can I get for my buck? And so the question is, I think that there's plenty of homes, not plenty, but there are enough homes where if we would downsize what our dream is in the beginning, then we can get into a home, build up equity, and afford another home later. And my home is a 31-year-old daughter. And she says, Dad, I'm not moving out until I get married. You're stuck with me until that time. She understands that if she goes out now, she may not be able to afford what she can afford to live with us. And so again, this affordability issue, I think oftentimes is a desirability issue. Also, I believe that in our community, we have to have wisdom, not only the people who are sitting on council, but also the people who are looking for homes. Oftentimes there's not wisdom when we're looking for our homes. And so we have to rethink and recontour our minds so that we can really see what's out there.
Thank you, Dr. G. Durrell Middleton, what do you propose for solutions for affordable housing?
For housing, we were just endorsed by the Home Builders Association of Colorado. Super proud to get their endorsement, and it was because of these words. there's a number, it's a critical number, it's $480,000. $480,000 for a first-time home buyer. For every 1,000, you displace another 10,000 people from being able to move into the city of ours and experience what we've experienced. We have some of the greatest schools known to Colorado right here in the school district. The reason my wife and I bought a house in Centennial was because of the school districts. You can determine someone's life expectancy just by their zip code. How much money they can make can be determined by their zip code. Their health can be determined by their zip code. And why not get more folks, while keeping the character of our city, to be able to move into our great city? So we need to build this missing middle market, so that these young folks can have the opportunity to raise a family. It has so many profound effects on the way that your life can play out. Super proud that our fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, we just built our third building. We just had our groundbreaking ceremony on Tuesday of this week. Affordable homes for seniors 55 and up. Those are some of the programs that we'll mention across the table. But it's really the desire to get it done and understanding the reason why. And that's what our campaign is running. Thank you.
Thank you, Durrell. Moving on to District 1. Cindy Sandhu, what do you propose as new solutions for affordable housing?
Thank you. I would propose 3 solutions. I think the seniors who are unable to downsize are one solution. Having somewhere where they can downsize and that they can afford would be amazing for them. I know a lot of people who can't do that. On my street alone, there's only one other family with kids. The rest of them are retired and growing old in their homes. And if that's what someone chooses, I have no desire to take that away from them. It's for the people who want to downsize and are unable to. Those people, I think we can help. My second idea would be the construction defect laws. We have construction defect laws because of laws that were made in the state capitol, and I'd like to work with my friends who are in the state capitol to chip away at those laws so that we can have more housing built without those construction defect laws affecting the amount of housing that's built. And the third thing would be something that Littleton and other surrounding cities has tried, is that when you have development, and they've been successful in this, when you have development, a certain percentage has to be affordable, and if the developer chooses not to have it be affordable, they have to pay a fee. So that would be my third idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Robyn Carnes, your thoughts on affordable housing?
So I'm not sure you are aware of this, but right now we have great zoning and local permissions to get the housing done. There right now is 90,000 units yet to be started in Arapahoe County. 90,000. So it's not as if we don't have it, but they can't build because of state legislation, red tape, lack of insurability, market financing, and the cost of labor and materials, and just the expense of what it takes to build. So we are already working on this as a council, increasing housing stocks all across levels. It's happening. We need the affordable housing. We need the attainable housing to promote that movement. But this is a tough issue. We've got developments that right now are focused on affordable, attainable homes, and we're giving money to neighboring jurisdictions because they're able to do so better. Did you also know that right in this area there are 4 housing authorities to help us get that done? 4, which is amazing. I want to end with this and just say, as a realtor, I can honestly say that right now we have more inventory than ever before in Colorado. In fact, after this, I'm taking out buyers. It's a buyer's market, and nothing is full price. 38% of homes right now are having to lower their price. We can't control the markets, so we have to think creatively and wisely for what is best for our current residents and our future residents.
Thank you, Robyn. Moving on to Ashish Vaidya. What are your proposed solutions for affordable housing?
Yeah, so some things have already been done, as you stated before. So the city council has passed an ordinance allowing for ADUs, accessory dwelling units, so granted class to older people to downsize into. We are missing the middle, we do have a missing middle problem. And I think a major problem with housing right now is a lack of, again, entry-level housing that's owner-occupied and affordable, as well as for people that want to downsize. You see a lot of, nowadays, like around Southland, you see a lot of luxury apartments. What is a luxury apartment? It's not equity, that's what it is. So I think we need to work on actually getting more of our community into the owner-occupied housing market. So I think that there are a few things we can do. We can infill our vacant lots. We can enable more of our midtown district to have more condos and townhomes. We can work on cutting red tape, expediting the reviews process for building more housing in locations where it makes sense to do so that we're not impacting our existing communities. The state legislature recently passed a law trying to tackle the water tap fees. So that's one major issue with respect to construction. Yeah, I think like part of the problem with condos, and I'll add on this, is that a lot of people can't get mortgages for condos because the insurance premiums are too high. So these are some things that I'd like to tackle.
Thank you, Ashish. Carrie Penaloza.
Thank you. Well, I guess everyone knows that it's just a very tough market, especially for young people. I also know quite a few young adults, including my own, who have graduated from college and don't own a place and would like to, but they're unable to. Even way back, and of course, values have gone up exponentially since then, but even when I was on council, we were begging for sale condos and townhouses, and there are a lot of factors that have interfered with that happening. Construction defects laws are part of that. I know Centennial has changed zoning several times over to encourage development, and we do want to see, especially in Midtown, that development happen for first-time home buyers, downsizers, and everyone in between. Centennial is a place that people want to live, and we want to do what we can within a huge market that doesn't just include Centennial to make that happen.
Thank you, Carrie. Moving on to District 3, Patty McKernan. What do you propose to solve affordable housing?
Well, I'd like to talk about the concept of affordable housing. It's not just the price of the house that you're trying to move into. Affordable housing means being able to live. So I moved from lots of acreage in Elbert County to a little patch of land in Centennial, and I was hoping to have my mortgage gone in 10 years, and instead the COVID cash pushed all of the prices up, and I had to spend about $150,000 more than I thought. So my retirement home now costs more in the mortgage, but it also costs more in property tax. It also costs more in Xcel Energy. It also costs more in Willow's Water Department, much higher than when I moved in 5.5 years ago. So for affordable housing, we have 42,500 houses in Centennial and only 41,000 households. So I don't think we actually have a housing crisis in that regard, but I agree that if I decided to downsize into a patio home, there's not a lot of choices out there. When we talk about young people moving in, there's lots of apartments. We're building along Arapahoe, and you know that's the trend right now, but I don't know how affordable those apartments are. So what I want to look into are the layers that are making us spend more money and have our residents have to spend more money, and that's where I will look for a solution.
Thank you, Patty. And we'll finish up on affordable housing with Ryan Dwiggins.
Thank you. I'm not going to belabor some of the points that were made. Instead, I'm going to focus on what is, a lot of these issues that we're talking about are kind of above the level of local council. So I'm going to talk about what's in our power. And at the council level, what council's responsibility should be is to provide a framework for the development community to respond. So what does that mean? We need to be predictable, we need to listen, and we need to be open to solutions. So I've been on Planning and Zoning Commission for 4 years now as part of the 2022 housing strategies that was done with the current council. And with that, a couple of strategies were born out of that. We talked about ADUs, we talked about expedited review process for residential projects, and also born out of that were 2 new zoning districts, neighborhood infill, that there's about 7 properties throughout the city that you can infill the single-family development that would mirror the single-family development that is around, and the ECMU zone district that would help transition some of our office and retail properties throughout the city into and creating a new space where residential can thrive along with our business community. I've been endorsed by the Metro Housing Coalition because of my experience on P&Z, and so what I would do is create a roundtable with the private development community to listen what they need from us. Is it fee incentives? Is it a new zone district? What is it to create that new development? Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. So our next question comes from the audience, and we'll start in District 1. Sandhu. How would you solve the problem of too many service trucks in neighborhoods?
Too many service trucks. It's a good question. How would I solve the problem of too many service trucks? I think our entire economy has really evolved from the brick and mortar stores to the online stores, and we're just seeing the effects of that. How do we bring some of that shopping and those purchases back to Centennial, where our small businesses can thrive more rather than the Amazons of the world or even the Walmart? How do we help the citizens here? And I think that's helping small businesses. Helping small businesses in Centennial and creating pathways where more citizens know about the opportunities that are in Centennial where they can go. And that's also about building community. It's more about getting out of your home and seeing the people in your community rather than living this online life. And so I think this is all a trend of the online life, the online purchases, which creates the online deliveries, and how can we make more of an effort to be present in our community and seeing our community outside.
Thank you, Cindy. Robyn Carnes, your thoughts?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
How would you solve the problem of too many service trucks in neighborhoods?
That's a really good question, and that's a tough question because there's a lot of them, whether it's Amazon, the garbage trucks, that sort of thing. I would like to, let's just bring it home. Let's figure out how we can help people shop local, meaning let's take the streets of Southland. It is a place right now that has incredible potential, but it's lacking in every way, shape, or form. We need more foot traffic there. We also need to make sure that it has sustainability so that our businesses that we put there can thrive. Right now, the businesses thriving there are right along University, but the ones hidden in the back, they aren't. And if we can create spaces that are vibrant, where people want to go and congregate and build community and live and work and play, they will then in turn hang out there more. They will spend taxpayer dollars, right? Their taxpayer dollars, which will then help the community at large. So let's figure out how to bring more business to the local businesses, shopping local, incentivizing our local businesses. And I think we also need to have, I like what Ryan said, a roundtable discussion with some of those key players, say from the trash collecting services, from recycling places. What are you looking for? How can we work smarter, not harder, so that everybody wins?
Thank you, Robyn. Moving on to District 2, Ashish Vaidya. How would you solve the problem of too many service trucks in neighborhoods?
So I want to echo what was just said by the last few candidates. So I think we do need to incentivize more small businesses, more kind of local entrepreneurship as opposed to people shopping online. I think the Amazon trucks, the UPS trucks that we've seen have become kind of a problem. So I think we can incentivize more brick and mortar stores by potentially, this is something that I've been toying with. I think one idea is potentially have kind of a bracketed sales tax. If you're like, I attended a session of the budget committee not too long ago, and there was it became very apparent very quickly that a lot more of our sales tax revenue, which is the major part of our revenue in Centennial, is now coming from online sales. So we're seeing declining revenue from our brick and mortar stores. So I would like to incentivize more brick and mortar stores and small business sales by having a rapid sales tax for maybe a higher rate for online sales than for local stores. I also think that we need to have more community events in places like Southland and Midtown Centennial, so we can kind of like foster that culture. I think the Chalk Arts Festival that we had a few weeks ago in Southland was fantastic. I think people discovered a lot of local businesses there that benefits our community in all sorts of ways. So I think when we build out Midtown, we should definitely see it. And
Thank you, Ashish. Next, Carrie Penaloza.
Thank you. I do think it is unfortunate on two fronts, the way we have service, Amazon, service trucks, trash trucks, all over our neighborhoods. It seems like pretty much 24 hours a day. And I think some of that is unregulatable. I think that the trend away from bricks and mortar towards online purchases, it is bad for our streets, but it's also bad for our community. Part of the reason I believe that Centennial is vibrant is because of our trails, and why I'm so passionate about sidewalks is that some of my happy memories are walking our kids to school every day. And when we have a placemaking, they call it, a place like Southland, that we don't see thriving, I do think it's important for us to do what we can as a council. There's limits on that, to encouraging small businesses. And I do know that the current council makes a huge effort toward that end. So I think there are things that we can do around the edges, but we also, it's going to be hard to stop the Amazons and all of that in this world. I hope we can bump against it.
Thank you, Carrie. Ryan Dwiggins, your thoughts on service trucks in neighborhoods?
Thank you. Consumer behavior is a hard thing to change, and I don't think we're going to, but here's my solution. I would be in support of kind of a PR campaign that the council would be either in support of or filtering down through our HOAs, and bringing awareness to our respective districts of like, hey, here's how much road maintenance, our public works budget, here's how much we're doing in your district this year, here's the 5-year plan down the road. Your behaviors and my behaviors impact that. So the next time you see on Amazon, we order something and you say, hey, I can get I can get a $1 Amazon Music if I, combine the deliveries. If we start if we start promoting that as a city to combine deliveries where possible and bringing awareness. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, Patty McKernan.
Well, I don't know that this is the proper role of government. I think that the proper role of government is to give our citizens the ability to freely choose what they need and want and support them in thriving. And I think picking winners and losers over which service truck gets to go which day in what manner is not the proper role of government. So I will respectfully say I don't have that solution. I think the market will bear it.
Thank you, Patty. Moving on to District 4, we'll start with Durrell Middleton. What are your thoughts on service trucks in neighborhoods?
When I first heard service trucks, I was thinking more waste management, more Excel Energy, and maybe ECCV, Comcast, these things that are coming out in service in our community. How you look at a lot of folks, they have at-home businesses that rely on these deliveries. The product comes in, and here comes another service truck sending it right back out. I don't think that that's anything that the city council could really regulate. Some of the areas we could is definitely looking at waste management and how we can streamline that contract so that we don't have so many of those types of trucks in our neighborhoods. I would not want to limit consumers on how they purchase their goods and how they also make money from home.
Thank you, Durrell. And last, on service trucks, Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam.
In all of this conversation, I was reminded of a statement from an old Jew. He said, necessity is the mother of invention. And so when we listen to all of this, if we think about the Amazons, well, who started Amazon? Where did they start Amazon? They started in your neighborhood. Where did they start the computer? They started in someone's garage. And so with all of this that we're speaking of, about trucks coming into the neighborhood and all of that, I'm working with a couple of young guys right now. They're young, very, very young. And they want to use all the trash that's in the landfills to make stuff that we can use. Now, when we think about all the orders that we do online, well, that keeps me from driving 10 miles. So I'm saving on gas, I'm saving on tires, I'm saving on the streets. So as she said, we have to put all of this into view. Wisdom is the principal thing here. And I think that oftentimes we get into our back rooms and we have these questions like this and we're not using wisdom to say, hey, let's step back a little bit and see what's happened in our nation. We are a nation of invention. We are a nation of invention. And so we're going to invent the ways to solve many of these problems. Is it going to come quickly? No. No, that's wrong. Some of it will come quickly because we have young minds out there who are ready. Sometimes we just have to step out of the way a little bit and let them accomplish their job.
Thank you, Dr. G. Now we'll move on to our next question, starting with the District 2 candidates in Carrie Penaloza. According to the Centennial Connection Autumn 2025 edition, the city's main revenue sources have been flattening while rising costs and inflation are putting more pressure on the budget. Specifically, what would you do to address the flattening of revenue and the rising costs?
Thank you. Well, there definitely is, I call it a collision course between Centennial's revenues and the expenses, and it's this. I have a great concern about that. I did serve on the budget committee from when I was on council previously, and I think the first course is to ask what are our main duties, and those two are infrastructure and safety. And so I think we need to prioritize those two things and make sure that the most important features of that are where the revenues go. I also think we have an economic development department in the city that can work on, and they are working on, this is something that the current council is very aware of, using strategic incentives to find revenue sources. But just like everybody around Colorado is doing now, we may have to find ways to tighten the budget and work on giving citizens the most of what they want with the revenues that we have.
Thank you, Carrie. Ashish, how do we handle flattening revenues and rising costs?
So one thing that Centennial prides itself on is that we don't have any public debt. I would not want to change that. I think that we are very soundly fiscally managed. I think that's a good thing. It's something that we should take pride in. I think that we are going to need to look for new sources of revenue, however. And I think that one thing that I would not want to affect is property taxes. I think property taxes are a burden increasingly on some of our families. Our mill levy rate is relatively low here in Centennial, but other districts, when we combine everything together, people are suffering under the property taxes. So I think that we need to talk with our community. We need to engage with citizens and residents. Possibly have a bracketed sales tax that could bring in more revenue, particularly for dealing with some of our infrastructure needs. We do have some issues that are going to need to be addressed in the coming years with respect to infrastructure. So, I think that would be my way of going about trying to solve the problem.
Thank you, Ashish. Moving on to District 3, Ryan Dwiggins, how do we address flattening revenues and rising costs?
I'm going to sound like a broken record and talk about everything that I've talked about so far, is creating that stable and predictable long-range tax base in our commercial areas by creating new places. But while we wait for the market to respond to our initiatives, and they already have, by the way, we've had about 6 rezones this year. We have a finance department, and they invest. And so looking at our investments to pay for what's on our long-range plan for infrastructure projects, REIT is in that. And I also want to state that none of this is in a vacuum. We live in a region, and local and neighboring municipalities are going through the same thing. And so anything we can do to share knowledge about what each other is doing to find creative solutions to tackle this, I'm open to.
Thank you, Ryan. Patty McKernan, your thoughts?
Well, I think the first thing that I would do is really assess the needs and the wants. The question is, how do we, grow the revenue? Well, let's make sure that we have the needs and wants sorted out so we know where to spend what we do have, and when we get on that collision course, we've got a plan. I think that Dr. G said it well, that we're a nation of inventors, and innovation is always going to bring new opportunities. And one other area that I would think about is if we're going to have any metro districts coming in with this new development in Midtown Centennial, that we need to look at the revenues that go to the metro districts, which are perpetual, and the residents never get to benefit from those. Maybe Centennial will benefit from those and not just the developers and their investors.
Thank you, Patty. Moving on, Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam, how would you address the flattening of revenue and rising costs?
I took the Centennial 101 class, and I was flabbergasted because I learned so much. I learned that one of the major industries here is space technology and things of that sort. How did that happen? I come from St. Louis, where Boeing was number one. Space industry was number one there. But how did they get here? Something drew them here. And while I was thinking about that, I thought, well, that's great revenue. Then I thought about the other revenue sources. We don't understand. This is going to be a source of revenue that you think is crazy. We don't understand the value that we have in the elderly. When they're at home still teaching our young people, that is revenue. And so what I'm talking about is revenue that's going to come in the distant future. But it can move very, very quickly if we give attention to it. As I've said in many cases, we get into the rooms, and we're very, very smart people. We are. And God gave us that. And we can talk about all of that stuff, but did I go and get her opinion? Did I really get his opinion? Oftentimes we don't, because we're so bothered by our own opinions. So again, I'm going to say this. Wisdom is the principal thing, and sometimes we have to slow down and get wisdom. The gentleman has worked on the Planning and Zoning Committee for a long time, and he's gotten great wisdom. And so we have to listen to that.
Thank you, Dr. G. Durrell Middleton, your thoughts on flattening revenue and rising costs?
In the Centennial 101 class, the number was 2034, the year 2034. So between now and then, and as we still thrive as a city, we need to continue to attract businesses like aerospace. The soccer team will have an impact for a couple years. To attract these businesses, we also have to keep their costs down, which is labor. So now it ties back to safety. We're in a safe city where we can attract more residents. Right now we're shrinking our residency at a 2% rate. So the key is attract more residents to our great city, keep them safe, attract more businesses where their cost is down per labor dollar. That way we can keep, and then keep more of that money rolling through our city and staying inside of our city so that we can get that curve at 2034 still headed in the right direction. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Durrell. Moving on to District 2 candidates. Robyn Carnes, how would you address the flattening of revenue and rising costs?
You bet. District 1, yes. In my own family, when the budget gets tight, we have to cut our wants versus our needs. And so for us, it's, we just can't eat out. We can't go to, McDonald's as often as maybe we'd like to. And I think that follows suit for the city. We have to look and really dig into those programs and services that are working for our citizens, and also those that are not working, to really help prioritize what our spending needs are going to be, especially when it comes to supporting our residents and our taxpayers. I would not disagree. We need to incentivize more revenue coming, right? We are a destination. People are leaving by the droves from Denver, and they're coming to Centennial because Centennial is open for business. We're known as a business-friendly community. So we're going to incentivize those business owners. But as we know, it's 4 years out, right? So we're not going to see major problems immediate, but we're taking that long-range view. And I think what's critical is we have to ask our residents, what do they want? Some of you may have received the survey we sent out a couple months ago, 33 questions. So we could just gauge, what do residents want? Are they willing to pay a little bit more for services to maintain that level? If the residents vote yes, then we should. But we have to ask our citizens what they want. It's not easy, but again, what are the needs and what are the wants? And that's key.
Thank you, Robyn. And lastly, Cindy Sandhu, your thoughts?
It's tough to be the last one to answer that question because I agree with everybody. I think that you have to look at the needs versus the wants, and you have to prioritize the needs over the wants. You have to talk to the residents and see what they would like. You have to see if they would prefer to pay more or if they would prefer to pay less. We have to incentivize business. It's all the things that everybody has already mentioned. I agree with all of them.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. We'll start with District 3 and Patty McKernan. She's telling me I don't have time for this last question. So we'll move on to closing statements. You each have one minute for your closing statements, and we'll start at this end of the table, District 4, Durrell Middleton.
Thanks again, everyone, for attending, and thank you for your energy. It's been a long day, I understand. So, again, I've been in this city since 1998, 1999. So proud to live in our city. We're really blessed. I've been around the whole world, and this is definitely one of the cleanest and best cities to live in. My effort on this campaign is really addressing our citizens, my neighbors. That's been the best part, walking and talking to all our neighbors and getting their understandings and their concerns and bringing them to you. I've been a deacon at my church, served in the Army proudly, went to some of the best universities on the planet, beautiful wife and kids right at home, highly qualified because I work well with everyone. I've been accused of never meeting a stranger, so Middleton 44 is our website. You can learn a lot more than you could about our campaign right at that website. So I'm seeking your vote and your support. And one more thing, I wrote this down this time. Thank you to all of the volunteers that are in this room that have helped us out on our campaign. I'm not going to name anyone because I'll forget someone. So thank you very much for your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Durrell Middleton. Next, let's have the closing statement from Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam.
Okay, Jeffrey Gilliam for Centennial. When I entered the Air National Guard, when there's a storm, I had one job. Keep the guys flying our jets, because what happened is that when they went over, they didn't have their exams, their dental exams, and they got knocked out of the air because their pain was so great. They didn't get checked up first. So I had one job, get all the recruits through. There were about 6,000, and get them through quickly, examine them, and take care of them. We have one job here. Get Centennial back to, because we're not quite there, get Centennial back in the heads of the constituents and understand that we're number one in the state where people want to live. We're number, about 46 or 76 in the country where people want to live. Let's keep it that way.
Thank you, Dr. Jeffrey Gilliam. Moving on to District 3 candidates, let's hear from Patty McKernan.
I'm a native of Colorado. I've seen the changes in Colorado, and some are good and some are not good. And I don't want to see Centennial be anything but the great city that it is that I moved into to retire into. My grandchildren live here, and I want to continue to live in a thriving environment. Well, how do we do that? We make sure that we do not do things that we shouldn't be doing as a government. We don't pick winners and losers. We look for solutions to problems, not solutions looking for problems. So we stay in our lane, we help our citizens thrive, we make it affordable for them by making sure that we're not layering on special interest costs in the city business, and we also just, we are a city of neighborhoods, and we should talk to our neighbors and enjoy our neighbors. And I agree with the fact that people don't know that much about Centennial. When I'm knocking on doors, it's like, you gotta know where you live, people. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Patty McKernan. Closing statement from Ryan Dwiggins.
When I was considering a run earlier this year for council, I made it a point to meet with each of our council members and mayor to get context and understand what the issues were. And that informs a lot of my talking points on my website, dwigginsforcentennial.com. And again, I also want to state that I have the endorsement of the incumbent who's term limited, Mike Sutherland. And my family is here for the long haul. I care what Centennial looks like, I care what it feels like, and I want to build on the legacy of our civic leaders before us and create a Centennial that the future generations will be proud of. And I ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan Dwiggins. Now let's hear from Ashish Vaidya.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters, Ms. Dalton for moderating, my fellow candidates for participating in this forum. I also want to thank the many local elected officials who have endorsed my campaign, including several past and present members of the City Council, Congressman Jason Crow, Arapahoe County Assessor P.K. Kaiser, Arapahoe County Treasurer Mike Westerberg, the majority of the Arapahoe County Commissioners, local state legislators, including Chris Colbert, Jack Becker, Christian Biden. I also want to thank my wife, Heather, who's my #1 supporter, for putting up with this whole campaign phenomenon. It's been a wild ride. So in order to ensure that Centennial remains a great place to live and to tackle the challenges we face in the years ahead, we need to coordinate with our local partners at the state and the county level and at the private and nonprofit actors. So it means a lot to me that support of a wide range of elected officials at all levels of government. We are a young city. We're just starting to establish our identity. As we celebrate this 25th anniversary of the city, now is the time to think about what we want our future will look like. I envision a community where we can foster distinct cultures through our residents' creativity and entrepreneurship. My name is Ashish Vaidya, running District 2. I also at AshishForCentennial.com. We ask for your vote.
Thank you, Ashish Vaidya. Next, let's hear from Carrie Penaloza.
Thank you, and I also want to thank you for hosting this and for all the volunteers here today, making this possible. This race isn't about political agendas, it's about doing what's right for the city. There's a lot of uncertainty out there now, and I will work to bring stability and calm, at least to our city. When I served on council previously, I was a consensus builder as well as somebody who could work with every person on council. I forged relationships with people that have very different philosophies, and I found that the collegial atmosphere helped our citizens, helped our city be better, and I am committed to doing that again. I've been endorsed by people of both parties. I've been endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police, the Metro Realtors, the home builders, and the thing I care about the most, though, is the citizens and our city. So I appreciate your support. CarrieForCentennial.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie Penaloza. Next, Cindy Sandhu.
Thank you. Echoing what they said, to thank our hosts. I really appreciate you hosting this forum. My first experience with the League of Women Voters was my husband is he's an immigrant. He's from India, and he moved here for college for opportunities. And when we were at his naturalization ceremony, afterwards you walk out into the hallway, and the League of Women Voters was there to help people register to vote. So I really appreciate your motto and your vision and how you help people vote and understand the issues that we have. I really hope that I win, and I hope that we can all agree, or we can all work together on the issues that Centennial faces. I really believe in listening, leading, and connecting. I really believe in the community itself and building that community up so that we can all work together. My website is cindy4centennial.com, and I'm endorsed by Jason Crow. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy, thank you. And finally, Robyn Carnes, your closing statement.
What I've always appreciated about the League of Women Voters is their tireless effort on being nonpartisan. As a councilwoman, I've seen how elected officials can really come together and address our community's greatest challenges without being entrenched in partisan politics. I may be idealistic, but I'm hopeful I want to continue bringing that spirit of compromise and engagement for a second term. We need to prioritize public safety, right, for citizens, but really strive for true rehabilitation for offenders. We also need to protect our most vulnerable residents, but not on the back of taxpayers, generous taxpayers. We need to lift up the voices of our constituents, even at the expense, maybe not at the expense of our party leaders. But as many of you believe, no one political party really has all the answers. We've really got to pursue a purple path. When you take red and blue, you get purple. That's the color of champions. It is what Amy, Barb, and I do together. So if you agree with this goal, would you please consider voting to re-elect Robyn Carnes?